Welcome back to your Daily Dose. My name is Robert. I'm here with Judith, who is an intimacy expert, and we were talking in the last episode about how to relate to each other in practical terms. Because I think a lot of people would think of this maybe in terms of therapy, and they might think the talking part of it, which is great. Of course, talking is great. However, what you just gave were three examples of what I would call play-based interaction. From a sensory deprivation to a recognition to a communication that around the bend of the writing of the letters. Do you think of play as a form of intimacy?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
Yes. And that's why the ball game with each other is important. But the other thing which relates to improvisation is that with many people with Parkinson's have the mask of the face so that their partner doesn't see how they really are feeling because they can't really see the emotion in the face. And also the quality of the voice getting smaller, that they can't necessarily make the same kind of noise with each other that they used to make. And so trying to compensate, that's not a really good word, but to make this less important, the business of the blindfolding is good, so you don't bother seeing each other's faces.
Mm.
Sometimes we can communicate in play with just touch and understanding how the warmth of your body next to somebody else's, or sometimes I'll have them stand together if they're in a rollator or even a wheelchair, it doesn't really matter. I want them to feel like a seam is going down their bodies together so that they just get close enough to do that. And sometimes that has vanished with the length of time that since diagnosis. So play is really, really important. And sometimes, again, depending on their mobility level, I'll have them blow up a balloon and put the balloon in between them and try and not touch the balloon. And if it
Okay.
falls on the floor, you have to get it.
So that sounds strikingly similar to a game we used to play as little kids with our grandmother that would make us just go bananas. We had a grapefruit under our neck, and you had to pass it from under your neck to the other person. And this is similar to games like grew up in the 70s, Twister or other things they were intimacy games to a degree. They were social games. They were safe touch games,
Right.
depending on how you played them. But that I really think that games and play have a way of socializing in a way that is extraordinarily dynamic and for whatever reason missed as adults. We don't value play societally nearly to the degree for its functionality that it has. It's extraordinary to me, play is.
I think you're so right. And I think a lot, the other thing is that when I forget what the quote is, we put away childish games.
Yeah.
Um, but it's great to recapture those games, and it will feel probably very different to play them as an adult, to do that thing with the
Yeah.
grapefruit. But I'm going to use that, Robert.
Yeah, no, please do. I've got lots of games. Feel free to use them all. This is the thing, you mentioned improv, and thank you for that, for putting it out there that, improv is open source. I don't know, the history of it is based on a woman named Viola Spolin who used it during the public works program. Okay, you know that, right? So this was all about socialization for immigrant kids. So the games, yeah, there's certain people who've laid claim to them over the years. And certainly, I mean, Viola Spolin's the biggest name, but ultimately, they come down to we're trying to figure out how to connect. And what I love, actually, I have a class right now on Thursdays I teach where I'm no longer the leader of that class. I come in and I set it up, and the people with Parkinson's, they know enough about improv. We played long enough together to where they come in, either they've heard about a game or they have a favorite game, or sometimes they've made up a game and they teach it, and they each take turns leading. In your groups, when you talk about intimacy, do you pass leadership roles back and forth between people? Does that ever come into play?
So when I first started doing the couples groups was before COVID.
Mm.
During COVID, we were on Zoom. So of course there was much less socialization. after, I think it was right after COVID, I actually worked in a senior independent living facility. And it just so happened that 7 couples were living with Parkinson's and they lived together. So they all knew each other. And yes, in that case, it was easy to pass the hat and to, or the stick, the talking stick, and to have each couple take charge a little bit. And I also found that more shy people could come out of that shell. I have not, since either in person or on Zoom, had a group where they knew each other initially. So this is kind of opening a door that they're really not sure about. I would love to start doing this. I have a new group beginning in January on Zoom, but most of them happen to live in Maryland, and I'm going to try and do what I did at the All In Summit, the date night in the afternoon. But I'm going to try and do it after they have started to get to know each other. And again, from the summit, I realized that I'm going to have a group of care partners for an hour and a group of people with Parkinson's for an hour separately. Not so they can go like this about their partner, but because they're having different concerns.
Yeah.
Again, not knowing each other, they may not want to bring all this out.
Yeah.
I am not a therapist.
Right.
I don't pretend to be one. What we're attempting to do is to use both movement and eye contact and touch as a new means of communication.
Yeah, it's all there. And what I want to do, I want to wrap here. I want to come back for one more episode in this, just to say, number one, you're always invited, and I hope you will come to play improv with us, because anything you like and you can use, please do. And then let me know how you're using it. It needs to expand. So because you're already doing things, if you like what you see in improv already, and you want to come play with us and then take things, please do. And then let me know, because that would be fascinating. I want to wrap with our final episode, though. I want to talk about love stories. And so we're going to bring that up in our next episode. Thanks for being with us, Judith.
Thank you.